Regresamos con ustedes a instantes de que arranque el campeonato de la ACC. Clemson contra SMU. Las gradas divididas, la mitad de naranja, la otra de color rojo apoyando a los Mustangs. A instantes de ver si puede este equipo de Texas, hablando de los Mustangs, mantener su racha de victorias y hacer los pronósticos buenos, porque en la línea de apuestas son favoritos por 2,5 puntos.
Increíble, ¿cómo íbamos a pensar que este equipo de Mustangs, debutando en esta conferencia como es la de ACC, iban a estar peleando el título de la conferencia? Y no solo más eso, Itán, ser uno de los mejores equipos de la nación. Si vemos el récord de conferencias, 8-0, en general, bien lo mencionabas, 11-1. Hay que dejarlo claro, la única derrota que tuvieron fue contra un buen equipo de BYU, una gran defensiva, 18-15, pero fuera de eso, ha pasado por encima de TCU, por encima de Florida State. Claro, los Seminoles no han tenido una buena temporada, por encima de Virginia, de California, su último juego 38-6, un equipo mucho que ha destacado, pero yo insisto, Itán, para mí tiene que ver mucho la decisión que tomó el coach Reed Lashley en darle la oportunidad al sophomore, a Kevin Jennings, al número 7, jugador divertido, jugador que te entretiene, dinámico, y por supuesto complementándolo con el juego terrestre como es Brashard Smith. Así que un equipo de SMU que está a punto de hacer historia, convertirse en uno de los primeros 4, y va a hacer historia, Itán, porque debe ganar, insisto, la primera semana ronda de playoffs.
Eso es lo que está en juego. En pantalla, Kate Klubnik, mientras se está realizando la ceremonia del volado en 2022 contra UNC, ya con experiencia en partidos de título de conferencia. Este año, Clemson, 0 ganados y 2 perdidos contra equipos rankeados. Mafa, en los primeros 9 juegos, 109 yardas por tierra. Ha bajado un poquito en esta recta final. Y vamos a ver si SMU es capaz de arrancar como lo ha hecho todo el año, rápido. Es un equipo que ha estado muy pocos minutos atrás en el marcador. Es un equipo que usualmente está al frente en los partidos y eso les permite dictar el ritmo de juego y el estilo de juego que quiere. Es uno de los grandes retos del equipo de Dabo Swinney, este coach que ya tiene inclusive experiencia o títulos nacionales, mejor dicho.
Ya, un par de campeonatos nacionales. Es un gran entrenador en jefe. Y ojo, bien decíamos el historial que tiene. Y cuando juega este tipo de partidos, campeonatos de conferencia, está invicto. Tiene un récord de 3-0. Así que la experiencia y tan en este tipo de partidos, créeme que ha de pesar y pesa mucho. Y veamos a ver si el equipo de SMU, insisto, que está haciendo historia, puede.
We've been executing really well. You know, these first 3 drives, defense got 2 big turnovers, gave up 1 big play, and right now we're winning.
Las series ofensivas, obviamente con sonrisas. El coach de Clemson, después de un gran arranque de partido, le saludamos Miguel Pasquel y Itamer Ezra, ahora comprometidos en buscarla.
On Capital One halftime report just minutes away. Booger McFarland, Kevin Nagandi in studio. A historic night in Atlanta. Highlights of what Georgia did to Texas in that comeback victory in overtime with the backup quarterback. We'll hear from Kirby Smart. Styles, they win fights. What are you seeing from Clemson?
Well, Clemson's defensive line is doing an outstanding job against SMU's offense and Kevin Jennings. And Clemson and Kate Klubnik are attacking the secondary of SMU. They got to switch that up.
Big Ten championship highlights coming your way. Oregon in control. Back to you, Sean.
Tener la primera semana playoff en descanso, tendrán que dar la vuelta a este partido.
Vamos a escuchar a Reed Lashley. La desventaja más grande de su equipo desde el 2023. Ellos han empezado 4 ocasiones en nuestro lado del terreno de juego. Que apenas estemos abajo 24-7 es un milagro, dice. Ajustar entonces el coach Lashley. Vámonos a una pausa y regresamos. 24-7, Clemson arriba de SMU a la mitad de la final de la ACC.
Welcome to the Capital One Halftime Report.
Cade Klubnik, 3 touchdowns, 2 to Brian Wesco Jr. Clemson 24-7, 1 half away from stealing a bid in the 12-team playoff. They lead in control in Charlotte over SMU. Booker McFarland, Kevin Nagani here in studio. That was the offense.
Yeah.
How about the defense? What are you seeing from the defensive front from the Tigers?
Well, it's kind of the biggest mismatch in the game so far. You know, we know what SMU wants to do. They want to get Jennings out, drop him back in the passing game, and allow him to create. But the biggest mismatch, Kev, is Clemson's defensive line. Anytime they try to run the football, more importantly, anytime Jennings goes back to pass the ball, there is a clear mismatch in this game. The Clemson defensive front is dominating the SMU offensive line. And if you're head coach Brett Lashley, you have to go into the halftime locker room and be honest with yourself. We can't block them up front. So don't try to block them. Screen them, draw them, quarterback run. Like, do different things, because right now, what's not working is your ability to block the Clemson defensive front. And it didn't happen in the first half, and I don't think it can happen in the second
Maybe
half.
the most important series is the first series in that third quarter where Clemson gets the ball. If SMU's defense can step up and hold them and put the offense in a position to potentially score, then the Mustangs can get back in the game. We had history in Atlanta. How about the first ever SEC championship game going to overtime? It was a good one. The rematch of Georgia versus Texas, and oh no, Carson Beck. Final play of the first half, down 6-3, and he goes down, and he goes down hard.
Yeah, Kev, he gets his throwing arm caught in an awkward position. Good pressure there by Texas, but you start to be concerned as he grabs the elbow. He was down, and he wouldn't return.
Yeah, so here comes the redshirt sophomore, Gunnar Stockton. Hadn't seen a lot of time, but the offense looked completely different in the second half when he was under center.
Because here's what happens, Kev. All the veterans, all your normal playmakers start to rally around the youngster who doesn't have any playing time, like ETN going in the end zone right there. The physicality by the Dogs was on display.
We saw Lawson Lucky with that great catch. Trevor Etienne, not healthy, but still going in. 10-6. Here comes Texas now. Quinn Ewers, the DeAndre Moore Jr. We're tied up at 13 apiece. Now, Auburn would hit this field goal to tie it up. He was 2 for 4 before that kick, but we would go into overtime. Georgia needs a touchdown to win. Gunnar Stockton going in. You call this, and then bow. He was hit really hard, not targeting. Beck has to come in. Now, Beck can't throw, though, Boog.
He can't throw. He came in. You see that right arm hanging right there, that the elbow was hurting. He came in just to hand it off, and Kev, the physicality on display. Touchdown, Dogs, game over.
With a walk-off touchdown, Kirby Smart's third SEC championship on what Stockton did. Here he is.
Man, the kid played just tough as nails. I mean, and he hadn't got to play much this year. That's the hardest part, is you don't get a chance to play these guys. The Florida State game is probably the most he's played. But can't say enough about his toughness, character, whatever you want to say. The guy's a phenomenal leader. He made some good plays, and I think everybody else rose up around him.
Look at the numbers here. And Stockton, by the way, a 4-star Georgia legend in high school. And what they just did, especially in the second half with that offense, you brought up the physicality dominating the entire time.
So, Kev, if you look at this game, we can talk about the penalties. We can talk about the 2 missed field goals. We can talk about all the different things in this game. The biggest difference between Georgia and Texas is the physicality. Texas couldn't run the ball. Georgia could run the ball. They controlled the line of scrimmage. And in the end, the physicality of the Dogs won over again.
We saw that in the first game as well as in Austin.
No doubt about it.
And Georgia becomes the first team to beat Texas twice in a season since Texas A&M back in 1909.
No doubt. And it's the same formula over and over. 7 sacks in the first matchup, 6 sacks today. They couldn't block him up front.
Okay,
yeah.
Carson Beck now. They've got about 22, 23, 24 days before their next game potentially here, Boog.
It doesn't sound good, Kev. In the locker room, he could not grip the football. You're right. They got about 3.5 weeks. But everything that we're hearing, it doesn't sound good.
Okay, we'll see how that developing story continues. I'm sure Pete Thamel will be all over that over the next 24 to 48 hours. All right, we're going to keep an eye here also in the Big Ten Championship. #1 seed Oregon. How about still undefeated, taking on Penn State, and Dylan Gabriel, pair of touchdowns early?
The best thing he's done all year, Kev, is be a ball distributor. Easy throw right there.
Drew Aller now. Did we see the size and the physicality? Penn State showing life and not backing down. This is a good one now. 31-24 at the half.
The speed from Oregon and the brute force from Penn State on display.
You want power and force? Let's take a look at today's Capital One rewarding performance. Arizona State's Cam Scatterbo had 170 yards rushing, added another 38 yards receiving.
Kev, every time I see him, I see visions of Toby Gerhardt. Nobody wanted to tackle this young man today. The vision, the balance, the contact balance. You stand in the way of Scatterboo, you're going to get ran over.
Arizona State clinched at least a playoff spot after a dominating Iowa State 45-19 the Big 12 championship, and he can wear that belt proudly. Coming up next, the Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway, where Dr. Pepper awards tuition to deserving students. Matt Schick will kick it off right after the break.
This halftime report is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? You're watching Dr. Pepper Championship Week.
This is the ACC Championship game from Charlotte, presented by Geico. The Clemson Tigers leading 24-7 over SMU, which finished first in the ACC in the regular season. The perfect 8-0 record in conference play in their first year in this conference. Unfamiliar territory for the Ponies. Coming into tonight in the first half this year, they were +1.
Regresamos. Ahora sí. Ahora sí ya viene el tercer cuarto. 45, 44. Ya casi. Menos 17 el margen ahora mismo para SMU. Y es que decíamos, todo el año solo estuvieron abajo 72 minutos en el marcador. Pero en este partido ha sido una pesadilla para los Mustangs desde que arrancó Miguel.
Esa primera serie, como ese balón suelto, es la indicación de la primera mitad y ahora sí que la tendencia que tendrá que ser todo al revés. Así como han tenido unas excelentes primeras mitades y no tan buenas segundas mitades, para poder tener posibilidades tendrán que empezar parando el equipo de Clemson, correr mejor el balón y ser mucho más preciso. Kevin Jennings a la hora de buscar a sus receptores. Bien lo decíamos, 12 de 22 para 102 yardas, pero ha tenido oportunidades, simplemente no ha podido conectar. Y también hay que darle el mérito porque también ahí ya van 3 pases que le sueltan que claramente pudieron.
A 16, Jay Haynes. Un buen arranque para SMU de segunda mitad.
Sí, al parecer el mismo Hey James ahí se lastima, ¿eh? Hay que ver ahí porque al parecer se lastima bien esa lesión. Y sí, justo se para por eso.
¿Cómo jugar?
Coach, you just huddled up the entire team ahead of the fourth quarter. What did you say to them?
That's what we always do. We're going to finish the last 15 minutes. That's who we are. It obviously doesn't look good right now. We started the half
Con Rich Lashley.
You know, unfortunately, we didn't get the call on the OPI on the big third down.
No tuvimos llamado, desafortunadamente.
We got 15 minutes, and we're going to give it our best for 15.
Thank you.
Son campeones de la ACC.
¡Qué final acabamos de ver! Y vemos la banca de Clemson celebrando. Diego Sweeney manteniendo ese récord positivo cuando va ganando por 17 puntos. Y cuando pasaba que a los Tigers se les caía el estadio, se les caía el cielo. Después de una ventaja de 17 puntos, tienen los equipos especiales Eitan en jugadas casi consecutivas. Primero el regreso y después este intento de gol de campo de 56 yardas para darle el título de la ACC y poner a los Clemson Tigers en la postemporada. SMU a esperar el día de mañana y creo que estarán en playoff. Sin embargo, ya no tendrán esa semana de descanso, pero el comité de competencia lo tendrá que estar decidiendo.
Todo fue perfecto para Clemson. Gran regreso. Pase completo y luego patada de gente grande. Nolan Hauser con lo suficiente para ganar el partido y festejar el campeonato de la ACC para Clemson.
Qué error ahí de los Mustangs, increíble. Cómo dejaron ir, cómo dejaron esa patada de salida, cómo dejas un regreso de esa magnitud. Le das la oportunidad con 9 segundos para permitir esto. Y mira, aquí estamos viendo a Diego Sweeney. Qué gran juego y qué gusto. Y bueno, ya en poco tiempo empezará ya la tazoniza a través, por supuesto, de la pantalla de ESPN y de Disney Plus.
A nombre de Miguel Pasquel, todo el equipo de producción de ESPN encabezado por Sergio Sánchez y también les agradece que nos hayan acompañado. Para más, descarguen la app de ESPN. Clemson derrota 34-31 a SMU y son campeones de la ACC. Gracias y hasta la próxima.
For the 8th time in 10 years and head to the playoffs for the 7th time. Man, I'm just the heart of our guys. You know, we've been so close, but man, we found a way. And we just, you know, Adam Randall with the return right there, we screwed it up at the start of the half with 2 just terrible decisions on kick return. Great play by Adam, and then a great job, you know, on the managing the clock there with Antonio, and then just unbelievable kick by this young man from Charlotte, North Carolina, Hoosier. He'll go down in Clemson lore with that one. It was awesome.
Coach, a week ago today, you thought your season was over. Now you're headed to the college football playoff. What has this week, this roller coaster, been like for you in this team?
Listen, God works in mysterious ways, and we all thought that the door closed on us, but you know, this was God's plan for us. That's all I can tell you. I mean, God just opened the door, and they fought their butts off. This was the two best teams in the league. This is what a championship game should look like. Disappointed that we didn't do a little better to finish it, but man, a great college football game. But listen, I'm just humbled and blessed. You know, I've been in a lot of these, and it never gets old. But all I can say is every bit of any glory goes to the good Lord upstairs, because this was his plan for us, and these young men, they kept the faith, and they just have had the courage to continue all season long, and I'm so happy for them, and I'm happy for our fans, and man, I mean, college football, I mean, what a game, and what a response by our offense when we had to have it.
What is it about this team that can have you playing deep into December and maybe even January?
Well, you saw a lot of our best football tonight. We didn't quite put the 4 quarters together, but you saw the majority of the game. We played some great football and what we can do. And we've been really close, but I'm just really happy for them, man. And we did what we needed to do. We won the turnover margin. We did enough in the red zone. And hey, it's a new season. And we're 1-0 in the postseason. And now we got a chance. And I think Lloyd Christmas said it best. So you're saying there's a chance. So let's go. Let's go.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll see you in the playoff.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Guys.
My goodness. I'm going to go back, Greg, again to Adam Randall's kickoff return.
Yeah.
It was his first kickoff return of the season. He's back there by default. Jay Haynes ordinarily back there injured. It's their longest kickoff return of the season. And he goes officially for 41 yards, then the 17-yard pass play to get them into field goal range, and then the longest field goal in ACC championship game history. And some missed tackles that the SMU players will think about for a long time.
Yeah, just amazing execution, too, on the declare down situation. Perfectly timed throw. Antonio Williams knows the situation. Knows he has to go down immediately. Don't fight for extra yardage to give Hoosier a chance to walk it off. And they do it. Just cannot say enough about the character that Clemson just displayed on those last few snaps.
Here's Molly with Cade Klubnik.
Cade, you were the MVP of the 2022 ACC title game. And you're the MVP again tonight.
Wow.
You said that the emotions from that game were still raw. What are the emotions going through you hearing that now?
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. Nobody can close the door that God has opened for you. And God opened a door for us last Saturday. And he opened a door for us, and all we had to do was go walk through it. And just so proud of this team. And God is so good. That was unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
Your team is called this season a roller coaster. Talk about a roller coaster. A 17-point fourth quarter lead goes to the wayside. But what kind of composure did you feel within yourself and within this team to win it?
Yeah, I mean, we're up 17. We got to go finish the game. That's partially on offense. We got to go keep scoring and just keep separating the lead. But at the end of the day, we finished strong, and I mean, Adam Randall with amazing kick return. That's my guy right there. So just love that dude. Antonio Williams came up big on the last throw, and then Nolan Hooser, baby, come on.
Congratulations on the win. I'll see you up there on the stage.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Molly.
He was terrific early. 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter. They took advantage of some SMU mistakes. First quarterback ever to throw 3 touchdown passes in any quarter of an ACC championship game. We've seen that before with Clemson. We mentioned the Pitt game. You know, the offense kind of got stagnant. You can understand it tonight. Maffa clearly way off.
Yeah.
Jay Haynes gets hurt. And they had to lean remarkably heavily on the passing game. And I go back to what Dabo Swinney said. I would say this directly to the people on that committee who are watching this tonight. If you watch that game and don't think that that SMU team deserves to be in the college football playoff, then I would respectfully, strongly disagree with you.
Yeah, I think when you look at everything about this game, I think it summed up a lot of things. I want to talk about SMU in a moment, but I want to first acknowledge what we just saw from Adam Randall. Adam Randall, I don't know how many snaps he played tonight. I don't know how many
Very
he did.
few. You know, the reality is, and I was going to make that point, I'm sure you were too. He was a very highly touted recruit. He's a junior now, and he's been a little bit of a disappointment. Maybe even a lot of a disappointment to a lot of Clemson fans.
And he hasn't had those opportunities, but Dabo speaks of culture. Dabo speaks of buy-in. And Adam Randall is an example of what Clemson football has been about for the better part of a decade and a half. They are all the way down to their 3rd-string kick return guy. And a guy who has been kind of pushed down the depth chart a little bit behind 2 true freshmen at wide receiver. And yet, he gets his number called, goes in, makes the play of the game, gives him a chance to execute the declare down situation to kick the game-winning field goal. I think that is an example of what Dabo preaches all the time. The culture, the buy-in, and the teamwork, and just the camaraderie that they've created over the course of nearly 2 decades.
You want to make your point about SMU?
Yeah, of course. I think this is one thing that's going to be fascinating in that committee room, because when you think about what we watched tonight, I don't think anyone can come out of this thinking that SMU doesn't belong. I think they absolutely have proven that they are good enough. They just went toe-to-toe with the class of the ACC for the last 10 years, and they almost pulled it off and played bad, by the way. That was the bad performance from SMU relative to what they're capable of.
At the beginning of the game.
Correct. But the turnovers,
they
mistakes,
played very well after about the first quarter, really controlled the game.
They had their C game and almost won the ACC championship game tonight. That just goes to show you what this team is capable of. But the committee has a very dangerous precedent that could be set if SMU is left out, because then you are essentially telling people you're de-incentivizing the conference championship game. And that's a very concerning thing, I think, for the health of college football.
And why would you want to do that? How great was last night and today because of the meaning of all of these conference playoff games? You know, I love this 12-team format. But if the message is, we thought you were better than Alabama or these other teams last week, so you go compete your rear end off in a classic, as it turned out, championship game, and lose on a field goal at the buzzer, and now we're going to move you back. Then, you know, I would agree with what Lashley said. Going forward, why would teams even want to come and play in a conference championship game?
And I think that's a concern for the overall health and well-being of the college football ecosystem. The conference championship is supposed to be a reward, and to use it as a penalty in this scenario, I think would be a dangerous precedent to set in the future. And I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not sure the decision that'll be made. I'm sure it'll be a contentious and hotly debated conversation, but I don't think you want to de-incentivize participation in conference championship games. That'd be bad for the sport.
I think they've earned it. Yeah, I think their resume is good enough. It's better. You know, they shouldn't be outside of the 12, in my opinion. Clemson's definitely in the 12. It'll be interesting to see, will they get a bye in the first round, or did Arizona State perhaps do enough today? Let's send you back to the studio. Here's Kevin.
Sean, Greg, thank you so much. A thriller. Phenomenal ending in Charlotte. We're going to go back there for the ACC Championship Trophy in a matter of minutes as Clemson celebrates its 9th ACC title, 8 of the last 10 years for the Tigers. We also have a final in Indy, and that is the 1-seed Oregon in a tough one against Penn State in the Big Ten Championship. Dylan Gabriel to Kenyon Sadiq. Nice move there. Gabriel and the passing attack all in sync. You see Sadiq going in with the leap. Then Gabriel to Terrence Ferguson in the end zone. It's now 21-10. Penn State, though, answering. Not here. Drew Aller picked off by Dante Manning. returned for 24 yards to the 1-yard line, and then Oregon, they would take a 28-10 lead. But Aller finding his way and eventually bringing back the Nittany Lions to Omari Evans in the end zone. Okay, 28-17, 2 minutes left in the first half. Penn State in the red zone again. It's Aller. Look at his size right there and the physicality and getting in. And now, it's 28-24. Gabriel, simply too much. Watch what he does. The defense comes towards him. Wide open, Tej Johnson. Nice catch, 48 yards. 38-24 now, Ducks. Then it's 38-30. Jordan James going in. 45-30 now, Oregon, the #1 team and undefeated in the land. And then Aller, his third touchdown pass to Harrison Wallace right now, and it's 45-37. Penn State would have the ball with 2 minutes to go. The final chance. The one-on-one Aller on 2nd and 1, and he's picked off, and the Ducks hold on, and they finish undefeated. Dan Lanning celebrating first year in the Big Ten, and they go undefeated, and they secure that 1 seed in the playoff. Meanwhile, SEC championship, we saw this earlier on ABC, a thriller. Georgia-Texas rematch. Remember, the Dogs beat the Longhorns in Austin earlier in the season. Carson Beck, critical play. Closing seconds of the first half, and oh no, hit from behind, and he's injured here because that arm, the throwing arm, doesn't come all the way through. He would not start in the second half. Couldn't grip a football in the locker room, so redshirt sophomore Gunnar Stockton, come on in. And everybody stepped up for the Dogs after that. Lawson Lucky, what a grab. Yeah, that's a catch. They're down 3, the best drive you saw from Georgia, opened up the second half, and look at the physicality. Trevor Etienne, not 100% going in, and Georgia up 10-6. And then here comes Texas. Fourth quarter, 3rd and 3, Ewers to DeAndre Moore Jr. We're tied at 13. Texas's kicker had missed 2 field goals. Got to hit this one. Auburn from 37 yards out. 20 seconds to go. We send it into overtime, 16 apiece. Gunnar Stockton now. Down 3. Boom! Goes down and goes down hard. And he's shaken up. Couldn't come back because Beck had to come in, helmets off. So Beck, he can't throw. You see that arm. It's hanging. So the handoff on the first play, Etienne. And on a walk-off, Georgia wins. Kirby Smart on Stockton.
Man, the kid played just tough as nails. I mean, and he hadn't got to play much this year. That's the hardest part is you don't get a chance to play these guys. The Florida State game is probably the most he's played. But can't say enough about his toughness, character, whatever you want to say. The guy's a phenomenal leader. He made some good plays, and I think everybody else rose up around him.
Going to keep an eye on that. The SEC champs and Carson Beck and his health over the next 3 weeks before their next game. As you see, the 2 quarterbacks and what Gunnar Stockton did in the second half. A 4-star recruit, redshirt sophomore, was fantastic in that second half, leading the Dogs to a victory. Okay, another big storyline we saw earlier today, and that is, how about Arizona State and their story? Projected to finish last in the preseason in the Big 12, and Cam Scadaboo said, get on my back. 170 yards rushing, adding another 38 yards receiving, and Arizona State just dominant against Iowa State, and they secure a spot in the playoff. Maybe a potential bye considering how well they look, but that discussion, the debate will go long into the night inside the committee room as we have an inside look in Grapevine, Texas, with the committee room watching all the games on Championship Saturday. Tough decisions ahead. We'll get the answers. Noon Eastern, of course. The College Football Playoff Ranking Show tomorrow on ESPN. For now, let's go to Molly McGrath in Charlotte. Molly.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please direct your attention to the stage for the presentation of the 2024 AC Football Championship Game Awards, hosted by ESPN's Molly McGrath.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ACC Championship Trophy presentation. It is an honor to be here on this stage with Commissioner Jim Phillips as he hands over the ACC Championship Trophy to head coach Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers. Coach, Your 9th ACC championship win, and now you're headed back to the playoff for the first time since 2020. Why is this year's team the ones who could get it done?
Well, because we've had great leadership all year, but all I can tell you is this was God's plan for us. I told him last week, God's not done with our story. We just got to walk it out. And so I'm just thankful to the good Lord for giving us this opportunity, but most of all, I'm thankful to these young men for keeping the faith, to continuing to have the courage to keep moving forward. And listen, I want to go right back at Fran Brown and give Fran Brown a shout out. We appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, but listen, this is our 7th playoff, and I think that's second most in college football playoff history. But this team right here, to have a tough week, but they just bounced back, and again, the door was up. This was a championship game. Hey, I want to congratulate SMU and Rhett Lashley. There's no way they shouldn't be in the playoffs. Both of these teams deserve to head to the playoffs. It was a great, great performance by SMU. But I'm so thankful for the heart of our team, and I appreciate all of our fans coming out here and supporting all of us out here tonight. Go Tigers!
Coach, take a hold of that trophy right there. Coach mentioned keeping the faith. You guys had to do that this week, and then you lose a big lead in the 4th quarter. What kind of composure did you see from your team? What did you feel within yourself to win this game?
Yeah, I mean, this team never flinched, even to the last play. Adam Randall taking that kickoff return, and that was awesome. You give us, I think we had, with 13 seconds left on the clock. That's too much time for this team, so let's just go finish the job.
You guys have described this season as a roller coaster. How much more satisfying does that make this playoff run? The fact that this team has been through so much adversity, but now you have a chance to play for a national championship.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say this team it's so tight. It's truly a brotherhood. It's one of the tightest teams I've ever been a part of. We've walked through so much adversity, and I think that it's one thing to walk through, good times together, but it's another thing to walk through hard times together. And that's where God really gets to shine. That's where Jesus really gets to be shown on this team. And I think that his plan was always in course, and we just had to walk through it.
All right, congratulations on the win, Cade, and on the MVP honors. And congratulations to your 2024 ACC champions, the Clemson Tigers. We will see all of you at the college football playoff.
Cade Klubnik, the 3rd two-time winner of the ACC championship game MVP. Deshaun Watson and Tyrod Taylor, the other 2 to do it. Clemson wins, the first team ever to win an FBS conference championship game on a 50-yard plus field goal as time expired. And Dabo Swinney, for those who don't know the story, the shout out to Fran Brown as the coach at Syracuse. Last week, when they lost to South Carolina, Clemson did. Dabo Swinney went home and locked himself in a closet, thinking their chances of going to the college football playoff were over, as their ranking was going to drop and they wouldn't have a chance to get the automatic bid in this game. Miami was ahead of Syracuse 21-0, and looking like they were coming here to Charlotte. Syracuse rallied, the biggest comeback win in Orange history, to knock out Miami. Fran Brown said on the field in the interview, "Hey, Dabo, I got you in." Dabo was still locked in the closet at his home at Clemson, and he heard some hooping and hollering out in the other room, and he looked at his phone and said, "Oh my goodness, we are going to the conference championship game." And that's why he returned the shout out to Fran Brown. It was unimaginable just a week ago. When Miami was ahead 21-0, Clemson's chances of making the college football playoff were 4%. Maybe there is some divine intervention. What an ending. Clemson, the winner of the ACC championship and the automatic bid into the first 12-team college football playoff. Good night from Charlotte. Coming up, your local news over most of these ABC stations.